you have a cognitive intelligence, but you also have an emotional intelligence. And often your emotional intelligence is what people refer to when they say that's my intuition. But in honesty, it is their emotions that give them a feedback to react to a certain situation or don't. Yeah. And there's 5 skills that somebody who has good emotional intelligence that they use in their toolbox. We practiced on the first day self-awareness. Being clear of who you are and what you're good at and where you have some gaps is a really important tool to read the room and read the situations that you're constantly in. Makes no difference if it's a classroom and you have to read your students, or it is a departmental meeting, or it is a university meeting. Yeah, but being able to sort of know who you are helps you with self-regulation. And what I mean with self-regulation, in the elevator speeches we said it can be very intimidating to stand in front of somebody who's really important. Yeah, so being aware that you have this shell-shocked situation, that is self-regulation. Instead of starting to stumble, you just stand there, take a deep breath, center yourself, feel that the breath has come down, and that pressure. So your diaphragm helps actually for many things, not only for breathing, but it also sends your body a signal, yes, it's okay, I'm in contact with the ground, I'm fully here, I'm situated. And that often lets you calm down. Motivation, that you are clear what is your motivation and what might be the other person's motivation to come to this room. Yeah? And being clear that your motivation is well framed in your head. If you are not clear why you're here, guess what? The other person might also not so quite clear why they're here. So figuring out the motivation of the room, of what they're expecting, and in the disclosure of bad news, I said that you're setting up the situation. That is exactly where you evaluate this motivation of what are the participants' motivations to be here. Empathy, really, to what Damali said yesterday, what President Kennedy said, it is not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. This type of service to the organization or service to a higher purpose, that is where you can bring the empathy and say, we are all here because we're trying to solve this issue or that problem, or we want every woman to understand better anesthesia. Yeah? So that it is not ultimately your purpose. It's a much higher purpose because you want it for other people. You don't want it for yourself. Yeah? Because you're a man, you will never be pregnant, you will never have that type of situation, but you are advocating on behalf of other people. Yeah. And then social skills, that the better you are at interacting, bringing people together, opening up the discussion, facilitating an agenda and getting people to move on this agenda, that will really help you to be a highly emotional, intelligent person. Yeah. So instead of entering the conflict, you should stay back from the conflict and say, so how can we bring the conflict down and bring the level where people agree up? Yeah. Because if you enter the conflict, you are suddenly part of it. Yeah. So you are not in control anymore. You just just gave away your control. Anytime you are part of a real sharp discourse, your emotions have taken over. Yeah. So you're not in your emotional intelligence part. You are full on in what comes deep from within you as an emotional response. Yeah. So being able to say, okay, I need either to stand up and walk around the block, or I need to stand up and go to the bathroom, and in the bathroom, no voices, it's just your own voice. And then you find yourself and go back into the situation. Really helps, because you just took yourself physically out of the conflict and centered yourself and you can bring yourself back into that situation. Yeah. Not always easy. I didn't say this is easy. This is practice. This is practice. You get better at it. Yeah. Because we are not trained at school or in our work situations to ever behave that way. Yeah. We are trained in soccer games. We are trained in competition. We are trained in defeat. Yeah. We very rarely are we trained in mutual benefits or in the greater good of other people. That's not how most of our trainings are. And so that's why it was interesting when you said it is really difficult to know now what is right or wrong. Yeah? So there's nothing right or wrong, but you might be a much better leader when you can handle these situations in a different way. And the more you get known for this better leadership, the more people will come to you and say, could you come and do this? Because they know there's a high potential for conflict, there's a high potential for discourse, there's a high potential for disagreement. Yeah. And the more you can bring these groups together and get something meaningful out of them, the higher will be your request to be in part of the leadership. You're all getting a PhD. It's the highest degree in your country, and from now on you will be seen as leaders. Because not even 1% of Ugandans have a PhD. Yeah. So you are, by this degree alone, you are part of a very elite group of elite thinkers, deciders, movers, and shakers.